Have you ever received a message that was so vague, so confusing, so full of unnecessary detail that you simply did not know what to do with it? Now imagine that message is a bank guarantee, a legal instrument worth millions of dollars, and the confusion in that document leads to a rejected demand, a delayed payment, or worse, a full-blown international dispute. That is not hypothetical. That happens in real trade finance transactions almost every single day. And Article 8 of URDG 758 exists precisely to prevent it. Article 8 is the article that tells everyone involved, the applicant, the bank, the beneficiary, exactly what a guarantee must contain to be clear, precise, and fully operable from the moment it is issued. Get Article 8 right and your guarantee works like a well-oiled machine, and get it wrong and you are headed for trouble before the ink is even dry. Welcome back to the English Trade Bites, your article by article deep dive into URDG 758, the ICC's Uniform Rules for Demand Guarantees. I'm Ravneet, and if you're joining us for the first time, subscribe right now to Ravneet Knowledge Bites on YouTube and explore the English Trade Bites playlist. Every earlier episode is right there waiting for you. Today we are on Article 8. Content of instructions and guarantees, and by the end of this episode you will know exactly what every guarantee must say and why leaving any of it is a risk or simply that you cannot afford. Now let us start with what Article 8 actually says. The article opens with the golden rule: all instructions for the issue of guarantees and the guarantees themselves should be clear and precise and should avoid excessive detail. Read that again: clear, precise, no excessive detail. This is the ICC telling the entire trade finance world, stop overcomplicating your guarantee. A guarantee that is too vague leaves room for misinterpretation. A guarantee that is too detailed creates contradictions and ambiguity. The sweet spot is clarity. Every essential element present, every unnecessary element should be removed. And then Article 8 goes further. It gives us a recommended checklist, 11 specific elements that every guarantee should ideally contain. These are not suggestions to be ignored. These are the building blocks of a guarantee that actually work when it is called upon. Now let us go through these 11 elements using that Rahul story, which you know well from our earlier episodes. Rahul is the owner of Build Right Constructions, Mumbai-based Indian company with the large infrastructure contract with the UAE government authority. His bank, we assumed Axis Bank India, is about to issue a performance guarantee in favor of the UAE authority. So let us build that guarantee element by element exactly as Article 8 recommends. First, the applicant. The guarantee must name the applicant clearly. In our case, this is Build Right Constructions Mumbai, not just Rahul, not just Build Right. The full legal name as it appears in the contract. Second, the beneficiary. The exact name of the UAE government authority in whose favor the guarantee is being issued. Again, full legal name, no shortcuts. Third, the guarantor, Axis Bank India, with its full identity details. These three parties form the foundation of the guarantee. If any one of them is incorrectly named or ambiguously described, the guarantee is compromised before it even begins. Moving on, the fourth, a reference number or identifying information for the underlying relationship. This means the infrastructure contract between Build Right and the UAE authority, its contract number, date, and brief description. Remember from Article 8.5 that this reference does not make the guarantee dependent on the contract. It simply identifies which transaction this guarantee relates to. Fifth, a reference number identifying the guarantee itself. Axis Bank's own guarantee reference number so that everyone in the chain, including any counter guarantor, can track this instrument precisely. Sixth, the amount and currency. The guarantee must take the maximum amount payable and the exact currency, not approximately, not up to a certain limit, exactly. It is USD 5 million, AED 10 million, whatever the figure is. It must be crystal clear because when a demand comes in, there must be no ambiguity about how much it is at stake. Seventh is the expiry. The guarantee must specify either a date on which it expires or a specific event that triggers expiry. In Rahul's case, the guarantee might expire on the date of project completion or on a fixed calendar date or upon issuance of a completion certificate. Whatever the trigger, it must be stated with complete precision, because a guarantee which is unclear with expiry is guarantee that can generate disputes about whether it is still live or already expired. Eighth, the demand terms. Any explicit terms and conditions required for making a valid demand. In Rahul's case, this might be the requirement for the UAE authority to submit a signed statement declaring that Buildright has failed to perform. These terms must be clear, specific, and as we learned from Article 7, every condition must be backed by a document. Ninth, the format of presentation, where the documents must be submitted in paper form, electronic form, or both. In today's world where the digital trade finance is growing rapidly, this element is more important than ever. A guarantee that does not specify this leaves the door open for a presentation to be rejected simply because it arrived in the wrong format. 10th, the language of documents. If the guarantee requires any documents to be submitted in a specific language, say English, Arabic, or any other, that must be stated upfront. Imagine the UAE authority submitting documents in Arabic and Axis Bank rejecting them because the guarantee required English. This is an entirely avoidable dispute, eliminated simply by being clear on language from day one. 11th is the party responsible for charges. Who pays the bank fees and charges? The applicant, the beneficiary? Is it shared? Article 8 says this must be specified because if it is not, it becomes yet another point of contention when the guarantee is called. Now take a step back and look at what we've already just built. A guarantee that names all three parties precisely, identifies the underlying contract, carries its own reference number, states the exact amount and currency, specifies the expiry clearly, defines the demand terms explicitly, confirms the format and language of documents, and allocates charges transparently. This is a guarantee built to Article 8 standards. This is the guarantee that works. Compare that to a guarantee that is vaguely worded, missing key details, stuffed with contradictory clauses, and you begin to understand why Article 8 exists. Because in the real world, when a demand is made under a guarantee, there is no time to go back and ask what was meant. The document must speak for itself. Every element must be there. Every detail must be right. And here is the practical warning that every trade finance professional needs to hear. Ambiguous or conflicting instructions do not just cause inconvenience. They cause rejected demands, delayed payments, financial losses, and legal disputes across borders. Axis Bank, upon receiving Rahul's instruction to issue a guarantee, must ensure those instructions are clear enough to produce a guarantee that meets Article 8 standards. If the instructions are vague, Axis Bank should go back and seek clarification, not guess, not assume, not fill in the gap with its own judgment. And on the other side, the UAE authority as beneficiary should review the guarantee carefully when it received and satisfy itself that all the elements are present, because by the time a demand needs to be made, it is too late to renegotiate the terms. Article 8 is ultimately about one thing: preventing problems before they start. It is the foundation on which a fully operable dispute-resistant guarantee is built. Think of it as the blueprint check before construction begins. I hope you all like this video. Do like, comment, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel of Deep Knowledge Bites, where I'm coming out with this series of URDG 758 article by article. And let's catch up with the next article in the next week. Thank you so much.